Hi guys, it's Jessica. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be picking my April TBR. If this is your first time here, I have several things I use to choose my TBR. It helps me to organize my reading life. I have a jar with my physical books that I have not read in it, and I will be choosing something from that. And I also have a jar full of prompts, and we will be choosing some things from that. I usually choose between 10 and 12 books, depending on how long they are. And we are going to start out by talking about how I did with my TBR in March. And I did great with my TBR in March. I am on track to finish the entire thing, and in fact, I added 2 books to it that were new releases that I really wanted to read. We're going to go ahead and get started. And the first thing I'm going to do is draw from my physical TBR jar. This is all of the unread books that I own. All right. Ooh, bold choice. And we got the Jasmine Throne. And I'm not going to probably put all these forward, but let me grab that. The Jasmine Throne is a fantasy that is based, I believe, on Indian mythology. It says on the back, trapped by her despotic brother within the crumbling walls of an ancient temple, Princess Malini dreams of vengeance. Forced to disavow her birthright and her power because of her past, maidservant Priya dreams of freedom. In a world beset by wild magic and turbulent uprising, their destinies will become irrevocably tangled, and together they will set an empire ablaze. This is, first of all, one of the big floppy Orbit paperbacks that I know we all love. I have been really wanting to start this series. It is on my 25 and 2025 list, so I'm excited that I drew it from the jar. That's a great start. It is, let's see, how long is this? Looks like about 500-ish pages, so not a short book, but one that I am really excited to get into. So there's pick number 1. And I don't think I mentioned, but I do have several arcs. I have 2 arcs and 1 book that I already chose in another video. I will link that video down below, that also are going to need to fit into here somewhere. Okay, so we're going to put the physical TBR jar aside and we're going to pull out the prompt jar. I do have my laptop over here next to me, so if I need to go to my TBR list, I have all of my physical books and my library hold saved into my Notion, so I can go over there if I'm looking for like a specific color or something and not have to deal with whatever is going on back here. So we're just gonna pull the first one. These like to stick together. Did I get one? Okay, there's, too many. Okay, so let's see. This is from a previous TBR. So a book I said I was going to read, and then I didn't. I have been doing really, really good this year with reading all the books on my TBR. I think there were a few that I didn't get to last month. And I feel, you can see I'm thinking really hard. I feel like what I'm going to put for this is actually going to be Ancillary Justice by Leckie, because that's the most recent TBR book that I know I didn't finish. And I do really want to read it. I just was not in the mood the month that I had pulled it out. I read the first couple chapters and decided that I needed to be in a different state of mind. Maybe now I'm in that state of mind. I've never read anything by this author before, and I have always wanted to. Okay, so I've pulled up the description here. It says, on a remote icy planet, the soldier known as Breck is drawing closer to completing her quest. Once, she was the Justice of Torin, a colossal starship with an artificial intelligence linking thousands of soldiers in the service of the Ratch, the empire that conquered the galaxy. Now, an act of treachery has ripped it all away, leaving her with one fragile human body, unanswered questions, and a burning desire for vengeance. So that sounds really good. I don't own that book, but I aspire to own it if I really love it. So I'm going to put that here as book number 2, and we're going to draw another one. Can be separated. Okay. This says, great first sentence. So I'm just going to pull 3 books and we're going to read the first sentence. I have 3 books that I'm going to read the first sentence for. I'm going to read the first sentence from All the Light We Cannot See, Kindred, and The Plot Against America by Philip Roth. So let's start with that one. Let's see what the first sentence is. Fear presides over these memories, a perpetual fear. Let me read a little more. Of course, no childhood is without its terrors, yet I wonder if I would have been a less frightened boy if Lindbergh hadn't been president, or if I hadn't been the offspring of Jews. Okay, so this is an alternate history book. So that's setting up some alternate history where apparently Lindbergh was president. Kindred by Octavia Butler. All right, we're going to start. I'm going to read from the prologue on this one. I lost an arm on my last trip home. I will say that is intriguing. And then All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. So first sentence, it says leaflets. At dusk, they pour from the sky. They blow across the ramparts, turn cartwheels over rooftops, flutter into the ravines between houses. So I think if I'm honest, I mean, I really want to read these other two books. That's why I pulled them. But I think that Kindred by Octavia Butler is going to be my pick for this one. It definitely has the most intriguing opening sentence. I mean, can you beat I lost an arm on my last trip home? No, you cannot. And it's also not incredibly long. And I've got a lot of long books already on this TBR. So let's go ahead. Great first sentence, Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. All right, let's draw another one from the jar. A feel-good book. Well, I like that because I feel like I've got a lot of stuff that's not so much that. So let's see what we have. Okay, so for a feel-good book, I think I'm going to look at some romance. I don't have any romance on this TBR, and I do have a whole shelf of romance over here that I have not been reading. So we're going to look at a couple things. The first one is going to be the new Emily Henry. Coming out this month, we have Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. The description says, two writers compete for the chance to tell the larger-than-life story of a woman with more than a couple plot twists up her sleeve in this dazzling and sweeping new novel from Emily Henry. Alice Scott is an eternal optimist still dreaming of her big break. Hayden Anderson is a Pulitzer Prize-winning human thundercloud, and they're both on balmy little Crescent Island for the same reason, to write the biography of a woman no one has seen in years. Okay, so it's a really long description. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but Emily Henry for me is probably 50-50. Whether I love her books, like best book I've ever read, touched me on a deep level, or I absolutely hated it. So I don't know if I can put this for a feel-good book because I don't know yet which one this one's going to be. I am probably going to read it, but I think I'm going to pick the one that I have here. A lot of it's because I think the cover is so beautiful and perfect for spring. And that is Ready or Not by Cara Bastone. Let me show you the cover on that. It's beautiful, very springy. I got this out of a little free library. It's a book of the month copy, and it says, a surprise pregnancy leads to even more life-changing revelations in this heartfelt, slow burn, friends to lovers romance. So this is about someone who winds up unexpectedly pregnant, and the friend, I think, who steps up to be there for her and help her out during this super difficult time in her life. And I'm not going to lie to you, that sounds adorable and definitely sounds like a feel-good book. So I'm going to put this one for feel-good book, and I'm going to read a romance, which I don't think I have all year yet. So we're going to put that over here. All right, so that's 4 books. Let's draw another prompt. So this one is read in one sitting. So that's going to be for a novella or something that is super page turning. And I am happy for that because I have a lot of long things here. Unfortunately, I don't think any of my arcs will fit for this one. So let's see what novellas I have on my list. All right, I've made my choice for read in one setting, and I'm going to read a book that I have been meaning to get to. I also got this one from a little free library. It is Ta-Nehisi Coates' Between the World and Me. This is a nonfiction in a profound work that pivots from the biggest questions about American history and ideals to the most intimate concerns of a father for his son. The author offers a powerful new framework for understanding our nation's history and current crisis. Americans have built an empire on the idea of race, a falsehood that damages us all, but falls most heavily on the bodies of Black women and men. Bodies exploited through slavery and segregation, and today threatened, locked up, and murdered out of all proportion. What is it like to inhabit a Black body and find a way to live within it? And how can we all honestly reckon with this fraught history and free ourselves from its burden. So I've seen a number of people, I know Chelsea from Libraries and Lattes just read this one and found it very moving. And I've seen a lot of people read it recently. And I feel like it's an important book that I have been meaning to read. And I'm pretty sure I can read it in one setting. So I'm going to put this on my TBR for read in one setting. Okay, book number 6. I haven't gotten any of my arcs on here yet. So let's see. Multiple POVs. Let's see if any of my arcs have multiple POVs. All right, my pick for multiple POVs is going to be Ordinary Monsters by J.M. Miro. I have chosen this book already for my TBR, so I knew it was going to be on here. I was just trying to fit it in with a prompt. I chose this in a video where I read the first paragraph of 10 different books and picked my favorite one. This book is also extremely long. It is 700 pages long. And it says, England 1882. In Victorian London, 2 children with mysterious powers are hunted by a figure of darkness, a man made of smoke. 16-year-old Charlie Ovid, despite a brutal childhood in Mississippi, doesn't have a scar on him. His body heals itself whether he wants it to or not. Marlowe, a foundling from a railway freight car, shines with a strange bluish light. He can melt or mend flesh. When a jaded female detective is recruited to escort them to safety, all 3 begin a journey into the nature of difference and belonging and the shadowy edges of the monstrous. This is the first book in, there are already 2 books out. I think it's going to be a trilogy. And I've had a lot of people kind of personally recommend me this book as something that I would like. And it did win out over 9 other books in the first paragraph challenge. So I am excited to read it this month and slightly intimidated by how long it is. But I'm going to put that over here, right next to the really short book. All right, let's draw another one. All right, well, I got new release. They're all sticking together. New release. You can see that, maybe. And obviously, I'm going to be picking one of my arcs. So the book I'm going to read for this prompt is A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. That's a new release. It's actually coming out on April 1st. It is the sequel to The Tainted Cup, which was one of my top 10 favorite books of last year. The Tainted Cup is the start of a series of fantasy mysteries where we have a very Sherlock Holmes-esque detective and Watson situation happening. It is set within a fantasy world where we have leviathans who attack cities that are mysterious. We don't know what's going on with that. There's a lot of corruption within the society itself, which I'm assuming in A Drop of Corruption we're going to learn a lot about. I do have the arc for it, and it's what I'm planning to read as soon as I finish my current book, which is my last book for my March TBR. So A Drop of Corruption for new release. And we'll draw another one. Okay, we have a new to you author. I'm going to go ahead and use my other arc for this one. So the book I'm going to be reading is Where the Axe is Buried by Ray Nayler. Ray Nayler wrote what I'm going to refer to as the Octopus book, also The Tusks of Extinction, a lot of things that are based in the natural world. I believe that From the Mountain to the Sea is the name of the Octopus book, and it is about AI. It says, in the authoritarian federation, there is a plot to assassinate and replace the president, a man who has downloaded his mind to a succession of new bodies to maintain his grip on power. Meanwhile, on the fringe of Western Europe that has renounced human governance in favor of ostensibly more efficient, objective, and peaceful AI prime ministers, an experimental artificial mind is malfunctioning, threatening to set off a chain of events that may spell the end of the Western world. So that's the setup for that one. Again, I guess it is about AI. It sounds like a little bit of a dystopian story also. I've never read a Ray Nayler book. I have heard of those other books. My partner Sean has read the Octopus book and really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to reading this one and finding out what kind of all the fuss is about this author. I requested it because I thought I would like to read one of his books, and this one sounded more appealing to me than the others. It does also sound like it's going to be pretty intense, so I will be back to tell you my thoughts about that. And then we have 2 more. I'm going to draw 2 more. All right. Okay. All right, what did we get? Yellow cover. I'm going to go to my computer for this because I'm not going to look through all these books to see what's a yellow cover. You know, I have like 30 different colors in the jar for cover, and I always pull yellow. I don't know why. Let's see. Okay, so in terms of physical books for yellow cover, I do have Chain Gang All-Stars by Nanakwame Adjei. This is a story about the American prison system in a dystopian future where prisoners can fight each other on a television show, gladiator style, and kill each other in hopes of being released and having their sentence reduced. This one seems like it's going to be really heavy. I don't know. I've already got a lot of stuff this month that I feel like is going to be on the heavier side, so I don't know if this is what I want. I also have Murder at Gull's Nest, which, let me pull that one up. I also have the book Murder, which is a literary fiction that is definitely going to count as a yellow cover, but I also feel like, I don't know if I'm in the mood for that this month, and I'm thinking about doing that as a read along with Sean, so I'm going to hold off on that. And I think the one I'm going to choose, it looks yellow, it looks yellow-ish. It could be kind of orange, but you know what? Yellow and orange. We're going to go with Murder at Gull's Nest by Jess Kidd. This is a cozy mystery. I've never read anything by this author, and I said this year, one of my goals was that I was going to read more mysteries, and lo, I have no mysteries in here, unless you count The Tainted Cup as having a mystery in it, which I kind of don't. So this says, a cozy mystery series about a former nun who searches for answers in a small seaside town after her pen pal mysteriously disappears. It's set in 1954, and it's got a former nun, and it's cozy, and I think that sounds great. And I've seen a lot of great stuff about this author. I just haven't read anything by her before. So Murder at Gull's Nest, that's going to be my yellow cover book for the month. And we'll wait on Chain Gang All-Stars, but it's coming up soon. Okay, we're going to add one more. And I would like this to be a physical book. And we have Place in the Title. Let me come up with some options. So I have a few choices for this one. I have, first of all, from my physical TBR, I have The Plot Against America by Philip Roth. Again, this is probably a pretty heavy alternate history book, literary fiction. And then I have The Curse of Penrith Hall. That is the place. And that is going to be by Jess Armstrong. This is a gothic mystery, which I have been meaning to read for quite some time. And then my third choice comes from my library TBR, and that is The Wolf Den by Elodie Harper. And that's a historical fiction. And I don't have any historical fiction, no. Not unless you count Kindred, which I think I'm not going to. Okay. Well, then I think my choice is going to be The Wolf Den by Elodie Harper. Okay, The Wolf Den is the first book in a trilogy called The Wolf Den Trilogy, and the description says, sold by her mother, enslaved in Pompey's brothel. Determined to survive, her name is Amara. Welcome to the Wolf's Den. Amara was once a beloved daughter until her father's death plunged her family into penury. Now she is a slave in Pompey's infamous brothel, owned by a man she despises. Sharp, clever, and resourceful, Amara is forced to hide her talents. For as a she-wolf, her only value lies in the desire she can stir in others. So, historical fiction set in a brothel in Pompeii. I have heard amazing things about this book. I have really been wanting to read it. It's, again, on the longer side, so I think my page count for this month is probably going to be a little bit on the chunkier side, but I think that's going to be a really good choice. Let me know down in the comments, of course, if you've already read it, but I am excited to read that one. Okay, now we are at the part of the video where I do a review of everything that I picked. So we're going to start with the physical TBR pick, and I got The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri, starting a new fantasy series. Not the only one this month. And then I have, from a previous TBR, I chose Ancillary Justice by Leckie, also the start of a new series. We have Great First Sentence, and I chose Kindred by Octavia E. Butler, which I am very excited for. Have definitely heard such amazing things about it. We had Feel Good Book, and I picked Ready or Not by Cara Bastone because I needed a little bit of kind of cozy romance in my life with all the other stuff going on here. I had Read in One Sitting, and I chose Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. I have Multiple POV, and I chose Ordinary Monsters by J.M. Miro. I have new release, that's going to be A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. New to you author is going to be Ray Nayler, And I cannot for the life of me remember the names of any of his books. I don't know what's wrong with me. A new to you author is going to be Where the Axe is Buried by Ray Nayler. It's his new release. Yellow cover will be Murder at Gull's Nest by Jess Kidd. First book from that author. And then finally, our last book is Place in the Title, and I chose The Wolf's Den by Elodie Baker. Okay, so there you have it. All of the books that I am going to be reading this month. I am so excited to get to some of these. A couple of them I'm going to need to go to the library and pick up, but most of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, so half of them are from my physical TBR, which is a pretty good amount for me, and I'm really excited about that. Thank you all for joining me as I pick my TBR. Please leave me a comment and let me know what book you are excited to read in April. I hope that you all have a fantastic day. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.